This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Manny,
Good morning.
Sir. How you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I am awesome. You know why? Mario has brought the boredom back.
He really has. None of these games have been very exciting.
And that's good. And that,
Yeah.
see, I was explaining this. We're back to boredom. I'm sitting there last night going, this is like watching Club and Seals. This is awesome. Not Club and Seals, but it's just boring. It's just there's no challenge. And now you're not playing East Carolina Tech University all the way to the fourth quarter and you're barely leading, or you're losing to Southern Mississippi Technical University College late in the fourth quarter. And that was the Canes under several coaches here, that you would lose to FIU, or you're barely beating what was that? The team up in Michigan,
Central Michigan,
Central Michigan, and all that kind of shit. And so I'm looking at them going, all right, well, game 1 and game 3, you got the crappy teams, and you treated them like crappy teams. And Miami could have won by 75 points if they felt like it yesterday. And they didn't, because, he's more traditional, and that's cool. I got no problem with that. But boredom is a beautiful thing. So I'm hoping that I get bored next week again against Temple. You know what I'm saying? It's really nice to have boredom back.
Well, boredom and health, I think, are the two things you want as a football program. And yesterday they got 63 guys into the game, so 63 is a good number. I remember when Miami used to do that regularly, right? You get all these freshmen and second-year guys that never play into the game. Well, that's happening again. These guys are getting snaps, and I think people forget how important that is. That's why the Ohio States and the Alabamas and the Georgias of the world who play in the playoff every single year have quick transition from one year to the next, because those guys go in and it's not the first time they've been in a game. And so Mario is back to doing that. And I like the fact that he only gave Tyler Van Dyke a half yesterday. I didn't like the fact that Tyler Van Dyke was running the ball. I was kind of nervous the 2 times he took off.
Although that was a great call for the touchdown. I mean,
Yeah.
you could tell they were we were all surprised.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Luckily, the cameraman wasn't. He stayed with the play and he figured it out. But the rest of us were like, "Hey, is that Tyler Van Dyke with a play design run there and everything for a touchdown?" That was beautiful, bro. That was smart.
Yeah. Smart. Give teams something to think about, I guess. And Tyler, look, he's never been, I think, immobile, right? Or unmobile. Like he's been able to move. He's been able to escape the pocket. He just never chooses to run. And frankly, in this offense, you really don't need him to, the way that they have running backs running the football and the way they're playing in space. So it's good to see Miami take care of business, like you said. No hiccups, no injuries. And so I think everything coming out of this game was positive.
Yeah. And the running and Don Chaney, A.J. Allen, all these guys. Restrepo had a really nice game, overall. It's just good, man. And now you got, again, Temple, Georgia Tech over the next couple of weeks. Shouldn't be really difficult to test. Again, you got to take care of business, and that's what I like also, that Mario, yesterday you're playing against a team that you easily could have a letdown after Texas A&M, and you didn't have a letdown. To me, that's also another good thing of the coaching staff, that he has their attention, because as you and I know, and the Canes Nation knows, we've seen a lot of lulls in with this team, a lot of ups and downs and inconsistencies. And I think it's really important. It shows that Mario has a good pulse of his team, because they are responding to him. And that's something that I don't think any of the other coaches in the last few years can say about their teams.
Yeah, I mean, we've only seen it in bits and pieces. We haven't seen sustained success at Miami for a long time. And these guys always seem to have a mental relapse when you least expect it, right? It's always an opponent that you're not expecting, jumps up and bites him in the ass. And you're like, what's wrong with these guys? And he didn't show any signs of that yesterday. Miami didn't show any signs of that yesterday. And that's encouraging. And I think a lot of it, again, it's what you and I talked about when I was in Charlotte, which is this leadership council, right? Like I told you, those 13 guys policing themselves, Tyler Van Dyke, Xavier Restrepo, all the guys that are supposed to be leading are leading. And I don't think you had that I think when Miami in 2017 had their fabulous season where they started 10-0 and got to number 2 in the country, they had some of that stuff. So to me, that's the stuff I'm looking for going forward is, how much of this is the players themselves sort of taking care of business, holding each other accountable, making sure that that they don't let things fall off, don't let go of the rope, so to speak.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic, man. I just love the way everything is coming together for Mario in the second year. And by the way, you can see he's the weight of the world is being lifted off his shoulders. He shows more emotion now
Yeah.
than he normally has, like he did after that Texas A&M game. And then the way he's carrying himself, even in the press conferences, where he'll come into the press conference and say, "Hey, how's everybody? Everybody good? You jacked
Yeah.
up or whatever, that kind of stuff." And it's like, it's nice to see because the poor man was just under this amazing stress last year, and every time he came to the podium, you can tell, dude, that it was affecting him. That's the other thing you notice, that there's a different human being at that podium leading this team too, because there's less weight on those shoulders.
Well, the roster finally looks a lot like how he wanted to look. But I will say this, Mario is not a guy who gets to enjoy life much at all, right? Like he's always sort of in fact, he said it yesterday at the press conference. PB and J and back on the road recruiting tomorrow. Like he it's like the job never ends for him. And look, they got some big recruits this week following the Texas A&M win. And he's not like, oh, okay, we've made it. And I think that's the difference. I think we've had other coaches around here get to a certain point where they have a little bit of success and they're like, okay, this thing's going to take off. Mario's not going to stop until he's holding a national championship trophy. That's just the way he is. Like that's what this
A
is about.
couple,
Yeah,
a
like
couple.
for him, it's dominate. It's just be the best team in college football. And so until he gets there, he's not going to rest.
Dude, he knows that if he's going to beat Georgia, he needs a 5-star starting, a 5-star backing him up, and a 4-star in the third string.
Yeah,
That's why he knows he can't stop recruiting, because he has to keep loading that roster up.
right.
And so he's crossing now the first threshold, that now he's selling to people the program's on the rise now. We're now starting to win. The next step is obviously getting guys drafted and all those kind of things, and
Yep.
winning bowl games, things that the University of Miami doesn't do, and getting ranked, things that the University of Miami doesn't do. All of those kind of things. That's why these recruits are going to land, because all that kind of stuff wasn't happening here
No.
anymore. And it's just nice to see that a couple of those steps are now finally being crossed a year later after he took over, because, you had your people that were pretty much questioning all of this.
And that's why I think ultimately, you and I know this obviously because we know Mario, but having the experience of being in a championship program, right? Not just as a player, but later as a coach at Alabama, to be successful as a head coach on his own at Oregon. All of those things mattered. When Miami was hiring guys who had never been head coaches before, the Manny Diaz's of the world, the Randy Shannons of the world, the Larry Cokers, sort of just the recycling of guys that were already here, you weren't getting the hunger, the fire, the guy who, to me, in my mind, knew everything he needed to know about how to build a winner,
Right.
and then could deliver and get those guys to play at a level higher than they could. And I think Mario is the kind of coach who brings that out in his guys, and he's relentless. And I think that pours over on the entire roster. And again, I'm not here to crap on all the former Miami coaches. They had different sort of support systems than Mario does. But I think it's sort of the perfect marriage at the perfect time. Miami knows that they need their football program to thrive. They know they need their medical program to thrive. They need their academic system to thrive. And so the leadership at the University of Miami recognized it failed football, and they've put in the kind of resources that need to be put in to get the program where it needs to be. And that with
Dude, when they
Mario,
were money, when they didn't
yeah,
have money, you hired a Jimmy Johnson that was a head coach at Oklahoma State, and you hired a Dennis Erickson that was the head coach at Washington State. And so you kept having success because you also kept hiring what you had always been talking about for years. You gotta hire somebody that has built a program, that has coached, that knows what they're doing. They keep hiring guys that have never been head coaches, never had any experience, and that's why they are going to keep failing more often than not. Once in a blue moon, you're going to hit a home run. You're going to get the guy that's never been hired as a head coach, and he takes off, and that's fantastic. But they kept missing. But if you just go back to their history, they went and got guys that were already head coaches, and that was way ahead of what they were doing the last 20 years. It's crazy. Up until Mark Richt. And, for Mark, okay, that was a whole different case there, with Mark, obviously. But up until Mark Richt, they didn't, the hiring practices just made no sense.
No, and they didn't really back, those head coaches with much support in terms of coordinators and assistants. They weren't spending any money on those guys, and so look, the bottom line is they got it right now, right after 20 years of this, and it's obvious how important a head coach is to a program's success. Just look across college football. Deion Sanders clearly knows what he's doing, right? He went to Jackson State and had success in ways other guys didn't. He's gone to Colorado. He's got that program off and running. He's a winner. He's a national, guy who has won Super Bowls, is a Hall of Famer. They got the right mindset, and I think ultimately in college football here, that's the teams that ultimately make it, dude. They don't have bad coaches. It's not like they're a bad head coach is taking over the program and they recruit well in spite of him, or or the players overcome his terrible decisions. That doesn't happen. So Miami fans ought to be happy that they got Mario Cristobal, and you and I knew this, so this was the right guy for the job.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt about that. Oh, by the way, if you're Jay Norvell, why poke?
Yeah.
Why poke? Why,
I think,
bro?
listen,
I mean,
he's 60 years old. Jay's 60 years old already. He's kind of at the end of his, it's kind of like
he doesn't look 60 on that video.
he
Holy
is 60.
shit.
He is 60. Jay Norvell, I looked this up last night. I'm like, he sounds like a little cranky old man, just a little bit. And then I looked up his age and I said, well, maybe he is. He's kind of up there in age.
Did he look 60 to you? I didn't think that guy was 60.
Yeah, he's 60 years old, and so he's got to bring some spice to this game a little bit for his school. Colorado State's 0-1. They haven't really had much going for them, right? So poke the bear. I mean, listen, his team's they're gonna get their ass kicked no matter what. So
But now they're gonna really get their asses kicked. Come on, dude. Seriously, like the coach's son is the quarterback. Like he looks like the most accurate quarterback in college football right now. You're gonna play against Travis Hunter? Do you really want to do this?
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah,
really
well,
want to do
street
this?
cred, man, street cred. Listen, he's hoping that they show up. Think about this, if they actually back it up and keep the game closer, pull off the upset, what kind of street cred is Jay Norvell going to have, right? Taking down Deion.
I gotta tell you, he really doesn't look like a 60-year-old man, dude. I gotta tell you, I really, wow, he's 60. I mean, look, I get it, dude. The problem with people is, and I was just talking with Jeffrey Tarabolis about this, there's no right way to do things.
Mm-mm.
Dick Vermeil cried his way to a title. Uh, Tony Dungy and Tom Flores were cigar store mannequins. They said nothing on the sidelines. Tom Flores for the Raiders and won 2 Super Bowls, and Tony Dungy, great coaches, never had any emotion on the sidelines. Don Shula just had a chin and just looked at you really pissed off. John Madden, John Gruden were hands flailing everywhere, and what the hell is going on? No right way to do things. Deion Sanders does it with brashness because he's done that everywhere he's been his entire career as a player and everything. Mario Cristobal, traditional. Did not blow up the entire team the first year. He said, let me see what I got this first year. And then he weeded out the junk. Where Deion said, these guys are all junk. Let me go get what I want right now. You know what I mean?
He took over a 1-win team. It's a little different than Mario. Mario stepped into 7-5?
Okay, but my point is, Deion still does it with color.
Yeah.
This guy does it with the lunch pail. It's completely different the way they go about it, but there's no right way and there's no wrong way if you know how to get results. You know what I mean? And that's kind of that's why this Jay Norvell guy, it probably bothers him that Deion has glasses on and all that other crap. But dude, it's Deion Sanders. That he's a star. You're not, Jay. He's
Yeah.
been a star since he was a teenager. You've never been a star, Jay. You have no idea what it's like to be a star. Deion Sanders has been a star his entire life. He has lived with pressure, so he eats it up like it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's a different type of dude, bro. And that's where Jay Norvell, big mistake, bro. Big.
3-10 as the coach at Colorado State. So that's his record there. I had better success at Nevada. Look, man,
Bring
I
back
hope,
Sonny Lubick.
yeah, it's hard to win at places like Colorado State, dude. I mean, listen, Colorado was pretty terrible last year. There's just you got to be able to recruit, and that's why guys with characters like Dion are perfect for places like that. Unfortunately, there's just not enough of them. That's why a guy like Ed Reed, like think about Ed Reed, right? He was supposed to be coaching against Miami last night at Bethune-Cookman. I mean, how many other schools now that see the Dion example are going to say, yeah, we probably need to go get a guy that has a little bit of pizzazz, a little bit of passion to bring some life to our program? Because look how many programs across college football are just bad for a long time.
Yeah, but the people at Bethune-Cookman have to also do their part too, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah, no, of course,
Where he
of
goes
course.
there and gives them the honest, like, "Yo, you guys aren't this is why you don't win. You gotta do this, this, and this, and if you're not willing to do it." See, the difference is, uh, and maybe I don't know if Ed has the same juice because Dion is they don't make him like that. But
Right,
Dion can, like, change shit on his own, okay? Even if the school can't fiscally, he'll go find the sponsors and he'll get it
right.
done, and
That's true.
you and that's where that's the thing about Dion, bro. He's just a different type of individual. These kind of people aren't they're not normal. They're superhuman, these kind of people that they can do things that most of us can't. They can reach people that most of us can't, and people gravitate to them like no one else. And that's the magic of being Deion Sanders, bro. That's just it.
It's fun to watch though, and I
Yeah.
was laughing. I was laughing when people were like, "He's only going to win 3 games this year." 3 games this year. I'm like, you do realize what conference he's playing in, right? Like that, you can go in there and win some games in that conference. So,
And dude, he does what McDaniel does with men.
yeah,
He connects with them. And so when you see him, like laugh, like in that argument, I remember, and I was going, man, he is winning so many people over with this because he was like, you all go after these kids because they're chasing a bag, but meanwhile, I'm chasing a bag. The other coaches are chasing bags, but we're going to get mad at these kids for chasing bags.
right.
And so now that endears him right away to kids all over the country and their parents and siblings, or their not the parents. What's the other word? That if it's not a parent, it's a
Guardian.
guardians. Yeah, because not all of them are parents. And so, those guardians and those parents are saying, okay, see, this is a guy looking out also for the young men, not just for himself. And that's what that sport has been littered with. People that are just, and organizations and programs that are just looking out for themselves and not the kids. Here's a guy that gets it because he's been that. And his son is making, I think, close to $4 million in NIL this year. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Well,
That's why Caleb Williams' dad said, "Well, if we don't like the team that drafts him this year, we're going to go back to college and go to the draft next year." Why? Because Caleb Williams is making millions of dollars. He can hold off for a year if he wants to and have the choice that he wants. And to me, that's why Deion Sanders was going to succeed because he can communicate with these kids. And I see it with Mike McDaniel. He just knows how to reach men. And I think it's so important. If you're going to get the max out of them, you better be able to communicate with them.
yeah. And to your point, I mean, and I've spoken to people that have been close to him that grew up with him. They brought this up. The fact that he's coached his sons now for over a decade. I mean, just being around so many other players their age for the last 10, 15 years, he can communicate with them and they like him. Like it's just, besides the fact that he's Dion and Prime and the whole thing, um, he just knows how to speak to them. And I feel like so many coaches nowadays are disconnected from
Right.
the players that they recruit. They're in a different profession and different, lifestyle every single day. And even though they're coaching these guys in college, it's different when you got to go into the home of a high school athlete and be able to relate to them because they're younger, their parents are, have certain expectations. Dion's lived this for the last 10 to 15 years. So he's got an advantage I think other coaches don't.
And I think that Dion and Mario do the same thing. It's just in different ways. I
Yeah.
think they walk into rooms and houses and all that, and they prove to the parents and the kids that they actually give a shit about them.
Right.
And they're actually going to look out for what's best for them. Now, Mario's going to do it in a traditional way,
Right.
and then Dion's going to do it in his way, but it is still going to be the same exact thing. It's still love. It's still brutal honesty, which is what both of them actually live on, brutal honesty. And
Yep.
then they accept that and they appreciate. Usually athletes are pretty good about honesty, actually. They're
Yeah.
good about that, even if it's negative, because deep down inside, they know exactly what they're telling them is true. You know what I mean? It's when
Mhm.
you're lying to them, when you're telling them one thing and you do something else and all that other stuff. That's where it crosses. But really, if you look at it, it's just the way they do things, but it's really kind of the same thing what Mario and Dion are doing.
Yeah, they're good at what they do, and that's why I think both of them are going to have tremendous years this year, and hopefully futures as well. I'd love to see Dion stay there at Colorado for the next few years, and they're going to the Big 12 next year, and that's listen, man. College football needs different blood, man. It really does, and these are two guys that you hope and even the coach up at Florida State, Mike Norvell, who just knows how to work the transfer portal. He's
Good
really
for him.
good at it. Like this is what college football needs. They need some different teams to be competing for championships.
Yeah, yeah. Plus, we need to get back to Miami, Florida State meaning something and having some
Hmm.
fun. Those two teams with everything on the line. Those were the days, dude. All right, what do you got going on this weekend in the athletic? Now that you got it off, you slacker.
Well, I'll be sitting at home watching some games
See?
this weekend and still
Slacker.
working from home in front of the computer. I'm in charge of the Florida State BC game, so anything happens there, I'll be writing about it. But no, listen, it's nice to have a little bit of a weekend off. I'm gonna go play some pickleball, hopefully on Sunday morning. Get some exercise in. I try to do that 2 or 3 times a week. And then
Are you
we'll
going to an indoor place or an outdoor
no,
place?
outdoor, brother, outdoor. I'm old school, man. You got to get the
I don't
sweat in.
know. I
You got
haven't
to
done
earn
the
that sweat.
pickleball thing yet. I haven't
Yes.
done the pickleball thing yet. So
It's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun when you got a good partner, doubles partner and stuff. It's good exercise. You sweat out there for 2 or 3 hours and burning up to 2,000 calories while you're out there, man.
okay. All right, good stuff. Good for you, bro. Much more calories burning than I am, boy. That's for sure. I may burn like 2 calories this weekend on the couch. Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro, and more importantly, subscribe to the Athletic like I do, and support Manny and all the terrific writers and all the great content that comes out of the Athletic. Manny, as always, thank you, my friend. We will see you next Tuesday as we get ready for what is it? The Temple. That's
Temple,
Temple.
yeah. First road trip of the season. Yep.
You got it. Be good, my
All right,
brother.
brother. Take care.
And don't forget, visit our friends at Caneswear in Davie. And if you go to caneswear.com and you order over $99, you'll get free shipping. And remember, whether you go there live in person or you go online, use our code BIGO10 so you can get 10% off. I never mentioned that. I should always mention that. BIGO10 to get 10% off at Caneswear, baby. Get your Canes gear. Get your Dolphins gear. Get your Marlins gear. Get your Panthers gear. Get your Inter Miami gear. Caneswear.com.